Hello everyone and welcome to Austin's Gaming and Tech channel. I'm your host Austin from AJSliter Productions, and today we are starting a mini-series covering the end of one PC's life as a gaming system and the beginning of another to take its place. This is the birth of my new gaming PC, so let's get electrified. Before we start the first segment of the new series, I would like to extend my gratitude to the following YouTubers, whose videos and/or forums help me to design the machine and assist with the building process. These are TechSource, TechYesCity, CultOfMush, HardwareCanucks, Syndicate, Austin Evans, Paul's Hardware, Tech of Tomorrow, JayzTwoCents, QuickyBaby, and LinusTechTips. Now I know that you are anxious to see what I am planning for the new PC. However, I would like to take the time to give baseline benchmarks and a parts list of my old rig. The current system is an HP Envy 15 laptop, circa 2013. At this time, NVIDIA was still in the Kepler and Maxwell Generation 1 architecture days, where the 700 series of graphics cards were still going strong. HP marketed this $1,000 top configured system as gaming ready, rocking an Intel Core i7-4700MQ Haswell 4-core 8-thread processor clocked to 2.6 GHz. The top configured model also came with 8 GB of low-power DDR3 RAM, a dedicated NVIDIA GeForce GT 740M graphics card with 2 GB of frame buffer, and a 1 TB Seagate 5400 RPM 2.5-inch hybrid hard drive. The laptop also shipped with Beats Audio and Windows 8.1. At the time, I was playing World of Tanks and desperately needed an upgrade, in other words, my own system, to get past the abysmal ATI Radeon HD 3600 graphics card and the Dell XPS desktop that had an i7 processor and was very old, circa 2003, that I shared with my parents at the time. I got more computer hardware after I got the laptop for Christmas, mainly the current EagleTech mouse and keyboard combo that you see on the desk, and the Creative Fatality gaming headset. The EagleTech mouse and keyboard is nothing much to look at, with up to 2000 DPI for a laser mouse with no RGB customization, and the keyboard which only has 7 RGB presets and 1 off setting for backlighting the keys. Unfortunately, the EagleTech logo does not color change with the backlit keyboard. The Creative Fatality gaming headset is another story entirely, with 40mm neodymium magnets driving the headphones in stereo, and a microphone that is overall better than any other gaming headset in this price range. Also recently purchased was the O-Polar laptop cooler, as cooling the machine at full load with just the internal fans caused the GPU and CPU to throttle, therefore driving my games down to lower FPS numbers. Now it is 2016, and since I am getting into more and more AAA titles like Witcher 3, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and a few others, I have decided to use some of the money I have saved up to buy and build a quality gaming system. As far as benchmarks are concerned, this PC scored a pitiful 1130 points in 3D Mark Firestrike, with a graphics scoring a 1220, physics scoring an 8802, and a combined score of 302 points. According to Cinebench, it shows similar results, completely failing the OpenGL test as the GT740M is underpowered, and scoring a miserly 555 bench points in CPU performance. To put that into perspective, it's less than half the performance of its desktop brother, the 4770K. Usage in Heaven scored surprisingly higher than the Valley benchmark, which was very strange, as it is usually the Valley benchmark that is less taxing on a system, pulling 833 points and 19.9 average FPS in the basic preset Heaven benchmark. The basic preset Valley benchmark scored 513 points and 20.4 average FPS. Now in actual gaming benchmarks, the story changes a little bit. In legacy engines such as Quake 3 and modern 3D Flash applications developed on the Unity engine, it looks like this system was born to run these engines cranked up to the max. On the maximum graphics settings at 1080p, Quake 3 delivers a buttery smooth 72 FPS on average, while Unity, fancy preset at 720p, it delivers a 40 FPS average. In your run-of-the-mill online games, it delivers 45 FPS on the medium preset for World of Tanks at 720p, and 35 FPS average in World of Warships at 720p on the lowest settings. In addition, on more advanced graphics engines, the game still performs surprisingly well, but not as good in settings as their older counterparts. Armored Warfare, for example, struggled to manage 30 FPS on low to medium settings at the 1600 by 900 resolution. Heroes and Generals, by contrast, can barely run on this system, with graphics on the lowest settings and lowest resolution only managing about 25 to 30 frames per second. AAA titles are also a bit too demanding for the system, with a AAA title from yesteryear, Call of Duty World at War, barely managing to pull 57 FPS on a less GPU-intensive map at 720p on the lowest settings. At 1080p, it can barely run at 25 FPS using the same preset. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is not very stable on this system. During intense battle sequences and particle effects using the lowest graphics and resolution, this game dips into the 14 to 16 FPS range, with an all-time low being 5 FPS. Not very playable. But in medium conflict, the FPS counter registers about 25 FPS. And during a normal day in Havana, frame rates remain at a constant 30 FPS average. I tried to run the so-called impossible to run Witcher 3 on this system, and was pleasantly surprised with the FPS staying at or around 30 almost all the time, with all-time lows reaching the teens during rain, deep water simulations, and enhanced particle effects. Overall, this system proved adequate for what I wanted it for at the time, but with the demand of more graphics and better settings, I decided to retire the machine. So here is the long-awaited parts list of the new system. For the CPU, I chose the current generation CPU architecture, codenamed Skylake. The i7-6700K got my vote, as overall performance is twice the performance of competing Haswell and Haswell Refresh, nicknamed Devil's Canyon, CPUs. This CPU comes at a clock speed of 4.0 GHz and has been known to be stable at 5 GHz on air thanks to its power and thermal efficient 16 nanometer silicon process. Also, Skylake is reported to have more IPC, or instructions per clock, than the previous generation, allowing for dramatic performance increases above Haswell. I was initially apprehensive about choosing the Skylake chipset after a joint release from Microsoft and Intel stating that Windows 7 and other legacy operating systems will not be officially supported. Instead, will only support the Windows 10 operating system. This coming from a person who likes Windows 7 and who didn't like it when I upgraded to Windows 10 from Windows 8.1, which caused instability in many titles that I was playing, crashes outright, and spying issues with its settings that you couldn't turn off, including automatic updating. It was a major heartbreak to me. Still, many who built on Skylake using the legacy OS state that Windows 7 is still compatible, but will need manual drivers for USB 3.0 and the control driver XHCI, and the operating system needed to be installed using a PS2 compatible standard keyboard as long as your motherboard supported a PS2 interface. Having all of these, including a PS2 port on the motherboard itself, I decided it was worth the risk to install Windows 7 and fully customize it. RAM was covered by the G.Skills Ripjaws 5 Series DDR4 at 2133 MHz, with 16 GB in dual channel. That is more than twice the speed, twice the capacity, and overall performance of the old system's RAM. Cooling the CPU is the Noctua NHU14S. This was reviewed by Linus from LinusTechTips and Linus Media Group many years ago, and was also featured in his $2,000 gaming system for Christmas 2015. This little cooler with an extra fan in push-pull configuration will easily overclock the CPU high enough and keep thermals consistent with a stock Noctua NHD14, while still being less of the burden on the RAM slots than the D-type cooler. The motherboard is Gigabyte Z170X Gaming 6, featuring great built-in audio with audiophile features, dual M.2 slots for RAID 0 M.2 goodness, excellent looks and an outstanding build quality expected of Gigabyte's ultra-durable branding, and two-way SLI support. The storage is a hodgepodge of different drives. For the boot drive and high-profile gaming, I chose a Samsung 850 Pro. This comes at a capacity of 512 gigabytes and uses the SATA 2.5-inch form factor. This is benchmarked at nearly 550 megabytes of sequential read and write per second. The mass storage drive will be covered by a Seagate 1TB 7200 RPM hybrid hard drive, storing videos and also lower profile games that won't benefit as much to SSD performance but still need a performance boost. The final drive will be a backup image for the entire operating system and a backup of essential programs and game saves, which will be covered by the salvaged Western Digital Caviar Blue 500GB AAKS hard drive. This uses the SATA 2 standard and is in perfect working order from a salvaged eMachines PC. The Light-On SATA 2 optical drive was also salvaged from the eMachines PC, where I had been practicing building and unbuilding, so that way I would have less of a problem installing the components in the real PC. The graphics card, or at least the placeholder, will be covered by the Gigabyte GeForce GTX 980 Ti Extreme Gaming WindForce Overclock Edition. This card comes with a rather high power requirement, but features the same thermal performance as the stock WindForce 3X cooler version, running at stock speeds. Coming overclocked out of the box with a core clock of nearly 1316 MHz and a 1400 MHz boost while in normal mode, and up to 1600 MHz in overclock mode using OC Guru software, the card is an undisputed king of the Maxwell flagship graphics card lineup, and comes highly recommended from people like Tech of Tomorrow. I hope to be replacing this card with a similar version of the GTX 1080, which will be releasing starting with the reference model, which is now called the Founders Edition, on the 27th of May, and followed up by the board partner's custom coolers designs around 2 to 3 weeks later. The power supply driving this rig takes 980 Ti two-way SLI support seriously, with the EVGA Supernova 850 G2, a fully modular 80 plus gold certified 850 watt power supply with the implied reliability coming from a tier 1 manufacturer like EVGA. 850 watts is just enough to fully overclock two 980 Ti's or even Titan X's, and it'll be direct overkill for the 1080 anyway. The case was handled by Corsair, with the Vengeance C70 being my only decent choice in this price point, sporting full aluminum construction and character that goes beyond military perfection. This case is one of the best cases to house a system like this, and has been a staple for system builders for a very long time. Unfortunately, since my house does not have an Ethernet port, I am forced to use a wireless network. The Gigabyte GC-WB867D-1 PCI solution may take up one X1 slot, but has much better performance compared to competing USB Wi-Fi solutions. As I said previously, the CPU cooler will be getting a second Noctua NF-A15 PWM fan to mount in push-pull setup to decrease overall temps and increase thermal performance when overclocking. I will be replacing the stock Corsair fans in the case with 3 red LED Corsair AF120 Quiet Edition fans to increase the wow factor and silence of the red and black color scheme and overall performance of this PC. To increase that factor even more, I have opted for a legacy RGB lighting controller, say hello to the old yet faithful NZXT Hue, which is only $30 at Amazon, yet delivers great features for the money. Since the Corsair C70 window is perforated for 2 extra fans, and it wasn't to my liking anyway, I chose MNPC Tech's clear window replacement so I can look at my system proudly without looking through the translucent fan holes I will never use. I will also be replacing my peripherals, as I do not own some of those peripherals, and others are due for an immediate replacement. Acer's GN246HL monitor offers a 24-inch screen, 1 millisecond response time, 1080p resolution, and up to a 144Hz refresh rate for an unrivaled high-end gaming experience, and therefore gets my pick, as competing G-Sync monitors are $100 more, and the G-Sync technology, while better than AMD's FreeSync, does not deliver enough advantage over vertical sync or V-Sync to justify the extra cost. The monitor unfortunately does not come with a display port, so I will have to use the included dual-link DVI connection in order to get 144Hz support on this monitor. I also picked up a pair of mid-range speakers with the CyberAcoustics 3090 2.1 channels, which deliver a good balance of highs, mids, and bass. Finally, I picked up Corsair's gaming gear for the mouse, keyboard, and mousepad. The Corsair Strafe RGB is an exciting addition to Corsair's Cherry MX line of gaming keyboards. This particular version, featuring Cherry MX red mechanical switches and a full RGB LED experience. With 6.2 million colors available, multiple LED effects, and programmable macros. This keyboard also features a detachable wrist rest and a USB pass-through port, allowing for a gaming mouse to be connected and routed under the keyboard for easy cable management. Finally, the keyboard features custom rubberized keycaps for FPS WASD and MOBA setups. The textured spacebar is also a nice addition. The Corsair Saber RGB mouse is another exciting gaming mouse from Corsair's lineup, featuring up to 10,000 dpi and a precision optical sensor, allowing you to game with no compromises. The mouse itself features 5 programmable auxiliary buttons and even programmable standard buttons. Also, Corsair's included software, used for both the mouse and the keyboard, has gamer presets from featured pro gamers that use Corsair branded gear to allow other gamers to give their custom DPI profiles a try, from FPS settings to RPG settings, in order to play like the pros. The mousepad is Corsair's best offering for a control-oriented mousepad, the MM300. This ultra-durable mousepad features braided anti-fray edges to ensure the long lasting of the product, and is so focused on control that it allows gamers to stop their high DPI mice on a dime. It also allows for more accurate shooting in FPS games. I decided that the Fatality gaming headset needed an upgrade, due to the cord becoming brittle and breaking open. For the replacement, I will be upgrading to a headphone studio mic combination. The headphones will be upgraded to the Superlux 668B audiophile headphones. Tech Syndicate did a review on these headphones a while back and concluded that the 668B ones are great for the money, even outperforming the cheaper version of the Superlux headphones called the Superlux 681. My microphone setup will be drastically upgraded, starting with an audio interface. The Behringer Q502 is a USB 5-channel audio interface that includes an XLR plug, which is a necessity for the new setup. It also has phantom power for the XLR cable, which is used for some microphones. The microphone is the MXL 770. This budget-oriented microphone is 10 times better any USB microphone guaranteed. MXL has always been the leader of studio condenser mics, and MXL is no exception. To mount this mic, since a shock mount is included, I have chosen an On-Stage Stands MS7001B tripod boom mic stand. This stand will be a durable addition to the setup. Since the microphone does not come with an XLR plug, I will have to get one myself, which is not bad. It's only $10. I chose the GLS Audio 6-foot long cord. Any professional microphone person knows that they need a pop filter, because using a pop filter is a much better alternative to actually using the microphone bare, because a bare microphone is not good when recording audio. And with my Creative Fatality headset that I'm recording now, you can probably see that the microphone quality is not very good when compared to the XLR, and that's why I would like to get a quality pop filter. Many people have said that the very expensive $50 pop filters are good, but that's all hype as far as I'm concerned. For a budget-oriented thing that is durable and will last years, always go for the Nady MPF-6. This is a $10 pop filter, and it's much better than that Dragon Pad pop, because the Dragon Pad filter does not have a flexible gooseneck and metal stabilizing arm. The Dragon Pad pop filter also basically sags over time, where the Nady pop filter is plug and play and will not bend downward unless you orient it that way. Overall, this entire setup will be costing me around $2,000, but offers so much performance and room for upgrades that you literally cannot do any better than this for the use case scenario. So that's it, guys. If you liked it, you know what to do. But if you disliked it, smash that dislike button. Leave a comment in the comment section below for any constructive criticism you may have or any advice to me. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Part 2 is coming soon in about 4 weeks, so until then, have a good one.